Well, the Colorado Avalanche just keep winning, and they're doing it in wild ways. 5-4 is the Avs' final score, and conveniently also their record now. Colorado Avalanche won their 5th game in a row against the Ottawa Senators. It was a crazy game, which I'll put this tweet up right here. As you can see, every game they've played against the Ottawa Senators since 2021 has been crazy. Full disclosure, I was not able to watch the first period, but not much happened. Nathan MacKinnon did get a goal, but it was taken off the board for goaltender interference. Seemed like a pretty logical call. Don't have any real big issues with it. Paved the way for later Nikolai Kovalenko to score his first ever NHL goal. Another one, back-to-back games. He was due, like I kind of said. He was working for it, finally got one. A nice play from MacKinnon and Mittelstadt to get him there on the delayed penalty as time was expiring. Just a little shot in front of the net, kind of reminiscent of Nathan MacKinnon's first NHL goal, if y'all are familiar with that one. After that, it was a pretty good first period for the Avs. They controlled play. It was a pretty consistent theme for the entire night. The Avs were controlling play. I'll get into some issues they had stuff later, but on the whole, they were the better team pretty handily. But then the chaos ensued as Anton Forsberg had to leave the game with what he would later say was a dented skate blade, I believe was his words. It was like bent from blocking a shot or something. It took forever. He had to change it. And the refs were literally like, no, Linus Ullmark, you're playing now, which I don't know why he didn't start to begin with, but that's a whole different conversation. He played it. Then Forsberg came back. Then he went back out. And then he came back. It was a whole thing. It was very weird. Took a lot of wind out of the Avs sails. Ottawa, I wouldn't say like fully capitalized on it. It just, the game got a little bit slower and lacked some pace. The ice also wasn't great today. The Nuggets played yesterday, which, I mean, is pretty common, but it was also, I guess, a warmer day in Denver, as some people were saying, kind of led to that. The Avs weren't doing great. They had some chances later in the period. Ivan had a nice little breakaway chance, but then it was a little floater from Josh Manson from the point. Got his first goal of the season in the final minutes of the period again to give the Avs a 2-0 lead. Then in the third period, if you didn't think it could get weirder, oh boy, it did, because the Senators would strike in quick succession, getting 2 weird goals. One of them came off a bounce off the backboard, shot missed wide. Brady Tkachuk kind of cleaned it up. Was not a fan of Cale Makar on that play. Literally before the goal went in, I was like, Cale, what are you doing? And then they scored, and I was like, Cale, what are you doing? Then the Senators struck a few minutes later. Nick Cousins in, I believe, what was his 600th career NHL game. So good for him, even though he's kind of a rat. Not a huge fan of Nick Cousins, full disclosure. Got another rebound goal, tied the game up. The Avs were on their back heels at that point a little bit, but they fought back. Logan O'Connor got his first of the season on a very heads-up play. He kind of got headlocked, brought a guy down to the ice. The guy kind of ripped his helmet off, and but O'Connor, instead of skating to the bench, he put his helmet on, which a lot of players don't do. A lot of players don't think about it, and clearly it worked out because he was able to get his first of the season on a nice little play from Casey Mittelstadt. Very reminiscent of Nikolai Kovalenko's first goal. Just found a soft spot in the middle of the ice, and Mittelstadt found him. And then kept rolling for the Avs. Ross Colton, another guy who's on fire right now, staying hot. The top line was reunited for a little bit. They had a nice shift where they had a few chances. I kind of thought it was offside, so I was a little worried when they scored. He was able to make a nice play, cut to the net. Forsberg made the initial save. Colton found his rebound, buried it before Forsberg could get back to his post. And the Avs had a pretty comfortable 2-goal lead with 6 minutes left. The Senators would score one more goal before pulling the goalie to make it a little bit closer. Annunen, not great on this one. Kind of was not ready for the one-timer, and Giroux would bury it to make it a 1-goal game. They would pull their goalie, and MacKinnon would seal it with an empty netter, but then Giroux would score a meaningless goal with 8 seconds left. Really, neither of those goals had much bearing on the game. So yeah, a lot to recap there. 9 goals, 7 of them coming in the third period. It was a bit of a mess from the Avs, I can't lie. Like I said, let me give you some stats really quick. So in terms of shots on goal, the Avs led 32-30. Both teams only had 1 power play chance, didn't score. A little bit more of the fancy stats for you. The Avs led pretty handily in almost every category. 70 Corsi to 49 for the Avs. They were really shooting that puck at 5v5. Obviously, most of the game was played at 5v5, which is nice. 38-21 in scoring chances for, and 15-8 in high danger chances. Now, that's very good for the Avs offense. The Avs offense has been obviously perfectly passable these last few games, but they definitely haven't been as dangerous as they were in these first few games. Now, the issue will remain, they were pretty potent offensively today, and I didn't think their defensive game was bad, but they made a lot of bad defensive mistakes. Like I said, that Cale Makar play, he just leaves Brady Tkachuk wide open. They had a few, their defensemen were not at their best today. I thought their defensemen were making a lot of weird plays, especially in the second period. There were like some really bad changes. A lot of guys not moving their feet, getting the pucks. A lot of turnovers in the defensive zone. That's where their issues came from. Their in-zone defending, I actually think, has been pretty solid. They're not giving up a bunch of chances. They'll let teams cycle around them. They're doing a little bit of a bend, don't break cycle. And I think it's working out for them very well. And I think it helps that they have a goaltender they can trust to make these low danger saves, and that's really what matters. But I don't want it to be understated that I do think it is important that the Avs controlled this game. This game probably shouldn't have been as close as it was. They had a shift in the third period with the new Mittelstadt, Colton, Ranson line that easily could have had a goal. They were early in the third period. They could have put this game away, and they didn't, and that was the reason it got so close at the end. Obviously, finishing is a skill. You can't just be like, they got unlucky. You got to finish your chances. There's a few ways to look at this game. They won the game, which is important. They now have a winning record for the first time this season. Obviously, these are all good things. Like, it's hard for you to come away from this game feeling bad. Obviously, these late goals and everything give you a little bit of that sour aftertaste. But if you take a step back and look at the process on the whole, you really can't be too disappointed in it. The only thing that was a little bit annoying was Annunen gave up that softie, but he's played pretty well lately. He was down. He was due to have a down game, and I tweeted this out. You'd rather have your goalie have a down game when you score 5 goals than some other time, They won the game. It's fine. He'll get a day off. It's definitely more starts than he's probably used to, so they're going to have to ease him into that. It was 4 starts in a row. Georgiev is slated to start tomorrow, and I think Annunen winning all of his starts will definitely put some pressure on Georgiev, and we're going to see what he's made of. I do want to give credit to the Avs' third period. They had a little bit of a lull there in the middle, but for the large majority of that period, they controlled play, especially considering they were up by just 2 goals going into it. The Senators are a very potent offensive team. It's like always been their one thing that they're very good at, and so it's very important. It was a very positive sign for the Avs that they were able to kind of still control play and then inflict their will. I just wanted to touch on the top line because I think it was a bit of a down game for them. Cale Makar, I didn't love him. He comes away with an assist. He makes a nice play on the Ross Colton goal, keeps the puck in and lets that happen. A good player is going to make good plays, but on the whole, I wasn't a huge fan of him, especially in his own zone. I felt like he was a bit sporadic, and they even moved him with DeHaan at one point. And I'm not sure if they moved DeHaan up or I don't know. Bednar was trying some stuff, and I think you could tell his team was a little bit out of it and sporadic after that goaltending fiasco. It was kind of just a down game for Ranson and MacKinnon, to be completely honest. I found a lot of times Mikko wasn't moving his feet, which was a little bit frustrating. Same thing with MacKinnon. He was kind of getting frustrated and stuff, not making great plays. I think he was a little bit frustrated with the ice too. Which was something a lot of people noticed, that the ice just wasn't the best. The puck was bouncing all over the place. There were guys slipping or whatever. But anyways, let's get into the headliners of this game. We'll get into some positives. So, have a few guys today. First up, we're going to go with Nikolai Kovalenko. Obviously, he got his first NHL goal. He's been working for it. He's come so close. He finally got it. Nice little play. Definitely a little bit of a garbage goal, but that's the goal you're going to expect from a guy like him. On the whole, I didn't think his play was super spectacular tonight, but he got his first career NHL goal, and he's played so well that, he wasn't bad or anything. He wasn't a detriment to the team, so it's more than fine. Another guy that I was a big fan of was Sam Girard. I'm kind of going to lump Sam Girard and Josh Manson in here. Combined for 3 points, Manson had a goal, Girard had 2 assists. They ended up on the positive side of a lot of metrics, which is very good. I thought they were the Avs' best D pairing for sure tonight. They were doing a really good job at locking down the Senators, and they were playing with the puck very well. So that was a good game for those two, especially because they've been kind of in flux with their standing lately. Nice to get some secondary defensive production too. I was asking for it before the game. You need guys from that blue line other than Cale Makar to produce, especially since that is the group that is healthy. you're relying on that blue line to have some production, and it's good that they finally chipped in a little bit. I'll just throw in the other defenseman that I really liked here, Sam Malinsky. He ended up at the top of like all of the underlying metrics for tonight's game. He was really good. I thought there was that point in the second period. I didn't even think Manson and Gerard were doing fantastic. And I was just like, Sam Malinsky, he looks really good. He's making smart plays. He's confident. He knows what he's doing. I think it's safe to say he's definitely an NHL defenseman at this point. Our big headliner of tonight is going to be Casey Mittelstadt. The man just keeps producing. Walked away with 3 assists tonight. All of them, he just does the same thing. He stands, and it's not like this. I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. He's great at it. It's the perfect thing to do. He stands on the boards. He waits for someone to come to him, and then he goes so good at working the puck in tight to his body. And so he draws pressure away from someone else, finds that person, and gives them the puck, and they just score. You know, on plays like Josh Manson, he's probably it's a nice play, but he's not going to be getting assists like that very often. But these assists like he's getting to Kovalenko and O'Connor, this is a very sustainable way to score points because he's feeding pucks to high danger areas that even guys who aren't prolific scorers more often than not will score from, He's so good at that, and I don't know if teams are going to be able to counter it because, they're going at him. And even when there's pressure on the guy, he's a talented enough player that he will find someone else or he'll take the puck himself. We've seen this year that he's good enough at scoring goals by himself. They're a little bit dirty. He's got a all right shot, but, he's got the hands to make space for himself and give himself a chance. I want to give an honorable mention to Ross Colton. He stayed hot. I thought he was one of the only guys in that first group of 5 that I really liked, and Logan O'Connor. Both of those guys I thought played very well tonight. They both got those 2 goals in the third period to kind of give the Avs that cushion. I feel like those 2 goals really settled the team back down a little bit. Those are my underrated guys, O'Connor and Colton, the dogs of the game. Like I said, I think on the whole, the Avs did play a very good game tonight. I think it was a little bit messy and it was a little bit weird, which is fine. They got through it. They didn't have to really get into a dogfight. They controlled play for most part, and we'll have a chance to get another win tomorrow against Chicago. First back-to-back of the season. Fortunately, they're both at home. The Blackhawks did not play today, so it is definitely one of those dirty Sega Babas. Granted, the Avs will be at home, so they will have that going for them. It's a game that you really need Georgiev to show up in, because you're going to have some tired legs. If Georgiev really doesn't play well, Georgiev might not get the net at all. It might just be Annunen and Kakkonen until they trade for a starter, which I still think they should do. So it's a big game for him. The rest of the team, it's still a big game for the team in a way. If they lose this, they go back to 500, which isn't great. But you kind of want to get that win for Georgiev, at least, if he plays well, to give him that confidence. And you'd also like to just get the win, so that way you can be moving more in the right direction instead of taking a step back to 500. The Blackhawks do always give the Avs some fits, so we'll see. Georgiev especially is going to be the big key there in terms of will they get those 2 points or not. So that is all for me now. Thank you guys so much for the support on the first video. I'll keep having these out as long as I'm not working during them. The next few games I should be clean sailing, I'm sure, for at least the next week. Every game, I think we got Chicago, Tampa Bay, Nashville, and I believe that's it for what I know right now. I will be there for recaps with you. Make sure you do comment if you would like to see me do anything different here. I'm going to try and up the production value a little bit. Hopefully you guys like the highlights that I put in there too. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and I will probably see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.